Welcome to another episode of Design on Purpose, the WordPlay Studio podcast. Ooh. Thanks to everyone that's been following us so far on socials. We've been slowly building a little bit of momentum on Instagram and TikTok. So I've been getting a little bit of feedback from people saying that they've seen the posts and they've been loving them. So thanks everyone that's tuned in so far, and and hope you've been enjoying the previous episodes. And I think it was the second last episode we did was all about NFTs, and we have some exciting news to share. Is that we bought our first NFT.
Yeah, we did. We said we were going to. We said we were going to buy it on one of the Gary V's, the VFriend NFTs, and we had our eye on a very special Emerald Loyal Lobster, and we managed to get it, and it was really weird how it all happened. But and it was a bit of a process trying to get it all happening, wasn't it? Trying to put the bid in and everything, and then we
even leading up to the bid. So what happened was, like, first of all, there's a lot of people trying to buy the Series 2 VFriends. So there was 55,555 released of the Series 2. I think there was the first release of those, you had to buy Gary's books or something, like a case of his books, and you got an NFT for buying those books. And with that NFT, you could buy you had early access to the VFriends. And then the second release of the Series 2 was you had to go in a raffle, and only a certain amount of people got in the raffle.
Because you had to be in the Discord group, right, to get in the raffle?
Yeah, you had to be in the Discord group from a certain
I missed that too.
date. Which I got in, but then we didn't get the raffle for us. And then I think there was another release, but so basically you couldn't buy them unless you like either had the Book Games tokens or you won the raffle. But there was one auction, the Emerald auction, which was like these new kind of like green
hang on, let's get Nelson to put a picture of the Loyal Lobster up here somewhere so you can see it. Thank you, Nelson.
Yeah, so we got in the Emerald auction, which was like, fortunately it wasn't in the middle of the night for us, it was like at middle of the day. Well, I don't know what's better actually, probably not doing it in the middle of the day was so good. It was quite a stressful experience. And you can actually see some of the footage that we put on TikTok too of us sweating, trying to work out how to buy this NFT. Because it is a little bit complicated, and it's like being at an auction, putting a bid in for a house or whatever. So, But the strange thing is, we put a bid in 10 minutes before the auction closed.
It was like 4.25 Ethereum, right?
Yes, 4.25.
We put on. It was like, yeah.
And immediately there was another bid for like 5 Ethereum,
5.
And then there was another one for 8, like straight away.
Yeah, we captured that. I filmed that.
Yeah.
And we thought, we didn't get it. We weren't going to put 8 Ethereum on it.
No, we weren't going to put 8 Ethereum. Well, we didn't have 8 Ethereum to put on it in our wallet at that moment anyway. So we all right, we're out of the game. Bummer. The lobster's not ours. We would just have to stick with all the lobsters we've already got. But miraculously, as fate has it, or had it, those other bids just disappeared. They went.
What happened?
I don't know. I think
it was supposed to be ours. It was supposed to be our lobster. That's what happened.
It was definitely ours. So it's coming to the shack. It's here in.
We need to make it a little home here.
Spot, yeah, yes, for sure. So we're pretty stoked. It was probably, I don't know if I recommend it or not, but in terms of buying like a kind of, a semi-expensive one as your first one is a bit stressful, because you've got to kind of learn the tools and work out how to get your Ethereum and stuff into OpenSea and switch it to WETH, which is like a biddable
wrapped Ethereum.
Wrapped Ethereum, yeah, and then you can bid.
Well, we also had to get it off our cold wallets onto a shared wallet that we made for us, and then it was just like.
Yeah.
And we thought we lost some of our Ethereum on the way.
But we're super stoked because, like we said last episode, we know, and I was watching a video of Gary Vee the other day saying that he hasn't released the roadmap of Series 2 yet, and he doesn't feel any pressure to, because they're all sold. Obviously there's buy-in from everyone. People wanting to get on board with the project, obviously. And I've kind of got FOMO already that we're not going to be at VCon, but You know,
I'd love to go to VCon.
So would I, and I think it starts in a few days, 8 days or 7 days, about a week's time from now. But it's gonna be a next level conference for sure. 4 days, so we'll be there in spirit, hopefully. And next year, I think we'll definitely be. I think that's what, like, for me anyway. I'm like, fuck, that's the thing I'd love to get to, VCon. I reckon that's going to be it's going to be a game changer, especially just after COVID too. Everything's been closed and shut down for so long, and no personal contact. And he's just going to get everyone together for 4 days. It will be so powerful, like having that much momentum and build up.
Yeah.
All that there. So anyway, I hope everyone has fun there. So on the theme of the lobster, which and you probably wonder why we have so many lobster symbols around our office, and or in the shack, in the lobster shack, and our little lobster claws. The lobster's been a real symbol for us for maybe like 3 or 4 years now. It's kind of been our totem of wordplay. So yeah, what is with the lobster, Rix? You want to give a little description?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lobster's a really powerful metaphor for us and the work that we do, because for us it's really about transformation. So a lobster is like a soft mushy creature that lives inside a rigid shell, and at some point, it outgrows its shell, and then it has to find refuge under a rock, because it's vulnerable. It's soft and squishy inside, so it has to find refuge somewhere, and then it will actually peel out of this rigid shell and then wait for the new shell to harden. So for us, it's a really powerful metaphor for, like, change and systems design and transformation and the vulnerability and the stress, I guess, that comes with that experience, and also the fact that it's not. It happens often over a lifetime. It's not just something that happens once and it's finished. And the other thing about lobsters is that they actually their cells don't degrade, so they can, potentially they could live forever if they weren't eaten, or if they didn't succumb to an illness or something like that. So it's just like this really powerful metaphor of forever changing, forever transforming and evolving.
Yeah, and you might see behind Rix's head there is the lobster up on the wall, which is one of our values: make friends with change. And that really says it all. Is like, because if you embrace the change and you make friends with the change, and it's not such a scary thing. And in fact, the suffering comes from when you resist change, because there's two kind of inevitable things in life. Maybe there's more, but one thing is you die, and the other thing is that there's going to be change. And the more that you can kind of embrace change and embrace what's possible, and especially when things are, you might see something, maybe not so good happen in your life or whatever, but in hindsight, they're usually the things that have made you stronger and exposed you to some sort of vulnerability that actually becomes part of your armor in a way, in the long term.
I think there's also another part to that. It's like, it's also about empowering you to be responsible for the change that you want to see, because there's quite a bit of change that's being forced upon us at the moment, and it's been designed in a way which, to be honest, I don't like the change of where it's going. So I don't really want to embrace that change. I don't want to be living in the metaverse, and I don't want to be going along with some of these agendas that are being pushed on us at the moment. So for me, it's not so much about embracing change, but also acknowledging that change can be transformative, and also being responsible in yourself for designing the change that you want to be making in your life, or the change that you want to be making in the world through transforming yourself, which is that's kind of what it means more so for me.
Oh yeah, I totally get it. I'm not saying you embracing change is something that you, whatever someone else is pushing on you, you just embrace that. It's about embracing that there's change. Like, because if you're just holding on to the past as well, it's like, that's right. You need to create the change that you actually want to create for yourself. And because change is inevitable, and somebody's going to either make it for you or you're going to make it yourself. And some things are, going to, things on the macro level, there's themes and things that change, but that's exactly it, and it's about being comfortable with knowing that change is the inevitability of life. If you don't change throughout your life, you kind of stay stagnant and stale, and you don't grow. And that's really like what the lobster as well. Like, it's not this big kind of like dominant creature or anything like that. It's like a real soft kind of like inconspicuous, like lay-lowing little creature on the ocean floor. So it's kind of got that cute. I guess that you can learn a lot from the lobster. It's not like well, I guess they eat. I'm not even sure what they eat actually, but they're not like a big prey animal.
They eat Italian lagers.
Yeah. So then you can just learn more and more. Like, and obviously we use it a lot with branding and transformation, as Rick said, because with brand it's very much that process of constantly shedding your shell. Like, your brand is never finished, and your identity is always sort of evolving. There's core parts of your identity that don't evolve, but as you grow as a human or as an organization, like, your identity changes, you mature, you go through different stages of life or a life cycle or something like that, and the lobster is really a great metaphor of knowing that it's like it's okay to kind of like strip away like things that you might have been in the past and they may not be serving you any longer, and you can actually just like go, yeah, of course, like you can take these things off and leave them there and keep growing and form a new shell and go hide under a rock and for a little while it happens, and then come out feeling good. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, the lobster. And also they have square eyes. I've been told.
Gosh, I feel like I've got square eyes sometimes.
Well, we are lobsters. They're like one of the few animals or few things in nature that create squares organically or something like that, and their eyes are like cube shaped, which has like a square pattern to them or something.
I wonder what's purpose that serves.
Not sure. And yeah, and there's some pretty epic lobsters too there's some photos of ones down in of Tasmania in the fresh waters, and
they're blue, aren't they?
Yeah, big bluey greeny things, and they're humongous. Like they're just giant things, and you can just see how they've just like once they went that size.
I think ocean lobsters too. I think blue is like a weird, like it's some kind of weird thing that happens sometimes with the pigment. They're like really rare, like blue lobsters. You can get them, yeah. And in Australia, the lobsters that we have, they don't have claws. They just have the antenna or whatever they are.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm not too sure with I haven't fished any lobbies. We like to leave them alone. Don't eat your own totems, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then that's why it was so important for us to get the Gary V one. It was kind of like a bit of a extent, like we've been a big believer in being fans of Gary V for quite some time, but then with the V Friends thing, it's kind of brought that to a new level where we're like, shit, we need to get involved. Yeah,
we wanted to participate in what he's creating, and as far as an NFT project goes, that's a pretty good one to get on board with, because you're going to back Gary V. He's going to do something amazing with that, and I mean, he already is. And I guess NFTs are really about community and building community, and Gary V's already been doing that, through his career. That's what he does is build amazing community. So yeah, pumped to get on board with that. I really wish we had a Series 1. Maybe we'll get one of those.
Maybe, yeah.
But we're not selling our Series 2.
No.
Put a bid on it, a really big bid on it. Test us. We won't accept it.
Well, yeah, and we'll see where that goes, because I just felt, and I know you're the same, Ricks, it's like we know that just getting that, for us it's like this, the lobster to us is everything in a way. It's our totem that we resonate so much with. So getting that one, and also it was a one of one, so it's the only emerald green lobster. So we've got the unique one, and it's emerald green, which is we use green, like green's the color of purpose.
Yeah, green we use for purpose. It's like the heart chakra.
Exactly. So it just kind of made perfect sense.
But what was it? Emerald? You looked up emerald. What's emerald mean?
Emerald, it was also about I think it was about truth in Egyptian, truth and love.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense, yeah. And it's also a very sharp, hard stone I've been reading. So,
cool, we need to get some bling.
Yeah,
go and see Fraser. Illume metal.
Illume, yeah. So So yeah, anything else on the lobby while we're here?
Well, I mean, I think just in terms of the work that we do, you know, systems design, systems change, brand identity, I think that's an interesting, you know, analogy for that in the sense, and especially where we are right now as humanity. When you look at systems, it's kind of like we're feeling that right now, aren't we? We're feeling the pinch of this change, and we're kind of in the middle of this abyss. We're kind of transitioning to this new time, and you know, when one door closes, another one opens, but you know, they don't really tell you about that. It's hell in the hallway, and I think that's kind of what we're experiencing right now as humanity. There's a change happening, and you know, one system's gonna, you know, fold, and there's going to be a new one created, and I feel like it's a bit of a race as to what that system is. I feel like there's one probably already designed that's we can kind of see it starting to be rolled out, and I think there's a bit of a race between this kind of digital system and maybe something that is a bit more organic and more connected to the earth and in regenerating the earth and becoming more human. So that's interesting. You know, I can kind of see that all unfolding. And then, yeah, in terms of like business and brand and the change that happens within an organization, it's like that doesn't just happen once. You know, you go through so many evolutions as an organization with your visual identity. If you look at companies that are, you know, kind of sandstone organizations that have been around for many years or centuries, you can see the evolution of the identity of where it came from and how many times it's had to shed its shell and evolve into something new. And if you don't do it, you know, you kind of become, I guess, like a Kodak or something like that, you know, where you're not really seeing the foresight of the future. I mean, Kodak could have been an amazing organization embracing like digital photography and, you know, platforms like Instagram and things like that. But if you don't have the foresight, or if you don't create the hindsight from that future state of what you're becoming and create the new shell for that, then you kind of miss out. And then, you know, that kind of links back to where we are now as humanity. If we don't get together and create that new version of what we want as a civilization, then, you know,
it's going to get created.
Well, there's some I'm guarantee you there's a group of people that are creating one for us.
Yeah.
So.
And that's it. And like, if we don't have our wits about us in terms of being aware of what these potential futures look like, next minute you're in it, and well, we're already kind of experiencing that to some degree now, I guess, like where you're saying, you're feeling the pinch, and you're like, okay, wow, like, you know, it's time to kind of wake up and take control and take responsibility of ourselves, because otherwise, you know, you're handing your power over to some other higher figure that's been thinking about it for you, so you don't have to, and
or keeping you distracted so that you're not thinking of that.
Exactly.
Or keeping you comfortable so that you're not thinking of that.
And that's all part of it, part of keeping you not being the lobster, because comfort is something that the lobster avoid. Well, it has to constantly become uncomfortable. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable is really the lobster's what the lobster embraces throughout its life, which all living creatures kind of do to some degree if you're aware of it. Like humans, like you're saying, we can be so programmed in a way and to comfortability, and you know, everything's just so easy for us. Like, you know, you've got electricity, and how many electricity ports do you have around your house? You can just plug things in, connect it to the internet.
Go to the
supermarket, food's there. Don't have to really worry about how healthy the soil is.
People aren't stocking food either, like in terms of, you know, humans used to prepare for the times when there were no food, but we're so programmed now. Like when you have a look at the Indians that lived in like far north, like California, you know, they would, when the salmon run happened, they would collect all the salmon and then they would smoke the salmon and they would just stock it up, so they had heaps of food when they needed it.
Yeah, we've definitely lost and it's only been the last few hundred years or something where we've kind of become so comfortable in enclosed walls and in these air conditioned rooms and these comfy beds with warm showers and all this stuff. It's so new. Like we haven't been like this forever. It's really like a new.
We've become soft.
We've become very.
We've become soft.
We've become very soft. Yeah. It's like everything's just at well, I guess for us in the world that we live in, it's not like this for everyone across the world. But I guess people in more privileged places, it is, and it's kind of ironic because a lot of these privileged places have the highest amounts of mental illness and things like that, because there is this sort of massive disconnection between you and yourself and the natural world. Like, you don't know how to do all these things that are actually so natural to us and actually are in our DNA, like how to survive, how to be a part of nature rather than just staring at a scrolling at the screen all day.
Even walking, like I've been doing this functional pattern stuff recently, and it's been such an amazing experience so far. And it's like just even learning to walk properly. Like most people are so degenerated from the environment that we live in. We're just completely fucked. like I'm having to, like I've stopped all my training. I'm still doing jiu-jitsu and still doing my capoeira, get my body moving and things. But I'm not doing any weights or any cardio stuff really. I'm just like learning how to walk, how to put my feet properly on the ground and transfer my body weight. And it's actually really fucking hard. It's so hard to do because the environment that we've created has created this degenerative human being that's just not connected to what it's supposed to be doing. Yeah. And so it's kind of like waking your DNA up and reminding yourself about who you are and how you're actually supposed to be moving.
Yeah. That's it. It's like, and you realize, like when you're in an artificial environment for most of the day and for most of the week, when you do get the opportunity to go out into the ocean or into the bush or somewhere where there's that zero technology, which is kind of hard, not so easy to find these days.
Well, it's floating around in the air as well, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is.
I'm breathing it in all the time.
Well, yeah, so there's no escape. But, there's the point of, you feel your body just totally, like if you take your shoes off, for instance, and just put it on the ground, you instantly go, oh, like, okay, there's some sort of like connection happening back to the earth, even though maybe what you're standing on is not 100% natural and the air's still got chemicals and shit in it, which is just so ridiculous and it's a huge issue, and we're realizing it more and more. Like like we've spoken about before.
We're living in a flood zone, really. Like we're just watching it rain and rain and rain and rain and rain and rain.
Yeah, and just like you think about all the we've got sugarcane all around us, and we see them spraying glyphosate and chemical and things on the sugarcane, and then it rains, and you're like, well, fuck, that's going to be.
All the glyphosate just runs off into the river. And then do you know that the tap water that we drink here comes from the river?
Comes from the Tweed.
Tweed River, yeah.
Yeah, well, makes sense.
So
yeah, that's exactly right. It's like, think about all the toxins that are just constantly in our environment, and that, like, going back to the DNA too, like our bodies must be malfunctioning in the sense that, like, for hundreds and tens of thousands of years prior to the introduction of all these toxicity and chemicals into the food and the natural systems, your organs and things would have just been like in a totally different state, and now they're just having to combat. They're probably like in brutal war every day with all the toxicity that's coming into us.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, we are sitting here drinking, beer,
glyphosate-free.
Well, I think Italians don't use glyphosate. I don't think they use glyphosate in Italy. But and that's why we do like these. But but grain, I don't think grain. Well, I don't think it's too good for your fascia and things, but it can swell you up a bit. But and also, alcohol's obviously a toxin. But we do like to have a Peroni. But there's so many things that you kind of need to be aware of. And it's like there's the toxins, but then there's also your body not sitting in the right shape, because of the way that your body's holding itself as well. So there's, our poor livers would just be on overdrive, just constantly trying to get rid of toxins.
Have you heard of the Liver King?
No.
I just listened to this podcast the other day with this guy called the Liver King, and he's like super enthusiastic about
the liver
and eating all these, like all the organs of
there's people into the organ stuff. I don't know about that.
This guy's just like
I don't know about that.
The way that he I could totally got his point, because he's just talking about exactly what we're talking about right now. Remembering your ancestry is like eating like your ancestors did, and they didn't waste parts. In fact, they were eating these parts, like, and there's all these
I think it was that part was usually the most desired part, wasn't it? Like the organs. Like, wouldn't they, like, don't indigenous people here when they cook a kangaroo, like that's the first part that comes in comes out as the.
I'm not sure, but I know, like, even in, like, when a lion or something kills its prey, like, it goes for the guts first. It doesn't go for like the thick muscle first. It goes for all the soft, juicy bits, because it has all these nutrients in them that you can't get anywhere else. And supposedly they have relation to, like, if you're eating like organs, for instance, and this guy's talking about eating testicle and eating this and that, just everything. He's like, yeah, you gotta eat it all. Like, he's full on.
Because I know, he's like what's that guy? What's that UFC fighter? George
St. Pierre.
George St. Pierre. He's into that stuff.
Yeah.
The goat.
Well, it makes sense, like, because that's exactly right. Like, you think of if we, our ancestry before we were living in buildings with kitchens, or like with like mechanical things, we were hunting and cooking things on the fire, and you wouldn't be wasting it, like we're saying. It's
dude,
like,
I know. I grew up in South Africa and seen this shit. Like going hunting with my dad and seeing, making biltong and shit like that. Like you don't really waste much.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
Because it's hard work getting it. And that's kind of it. Like, that's a whole nother point in itself, is the food waste right now. It's like ridiculous. I think it's like 2/3 or something like that of the food, it gets wasted. Like, or one, I can't remember the stat, but it's like a shitload of food is just literally wasted. When you think about all the energy that goes into making this stuff, and we just throw it away. It's crazy. And then, and then we're looking at all these like new food innovations that are like, they are innovations, I guess, but really you can't beat the natural way of, what happened to the systems that have served us for millennia, in terms of living with earth and hunting and foraging and having all these native and cultural foods that would be pretty much medicine to our bodies, because once you get taken off that, then it's sparks this whole chain reaction of things. But the more synthetic the environment is, especially the environment that our food's grown in, it's like, how do you get the same? Like, I wonder, if you're a baby born today and you're eating lab grown food for 20 years, like, what would that do to you? We don't even know. Like, but
what about that? Yeah, they're messing with food all around, aren't they? I think Victoria's, even like the state here in Australia, Victoria, they're trying to pass a bill that makes it illegal to grow food in your own home, like at your house. You can't grow your own food.
Well, it's
because of some like Food Security Act or something, or bio something, like it's for your safety. No growing your own food.
Don't eat it, because there's going to be all these poisonous chemicals in it anyway. So, like, and that's the thing too. It's like, I remember people in when we were living in Marrickville, everyone's like, oh, don't grow food like without getting your soil tested, because it's like full of lead and metals and shit. And you're like, oh.
Well, really though, because I feel like there'd be a lot of. There were a lot of Greeks living in Marrickville. I reckon they would have kept the soil pretty good there.
I'm sure.
They were saying some pretty good gardens.
Get it tested, like, if you don't know.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be eating like something that's literally growing in toxicity, and you're just putting it straight into your system too. So it's it's and this is it. It's like, this is the kind of where we're heading if we're not aware of like. If it sounds like a great world to you, sure, that's cool. Go for it. But
get on the metaverse. It's like Soylent Green.
But honestly, it's like, if that's a great thing to you, that's cool. But I feel like, like you're saying at the beginning of this, it's like there's also this whole other sort of emergence of people let's go back. Well, let's go back to go forward in sense of the like connection to land and regeneration and replenish the earth we live on, because we are the earth. Earth is up. Like
there is this kind of like split happening, isn't there? Or like there's two potential paths, and it's like, and I love listening to Naudi from Functional Patterns. I love listening to some of the stuff that he says, because where we're into systems design and systems thinking, and he's coming at it from this whole like biomechanics side of things, and it's super super interesting because he's like talking about, there's one way where human beings are like, there's one future where human beings are just like completely integrated with technology and like this transhuman kind of like future.
Yeah.
And then, but if we sort our shit out and we kind of, because we do have really amazing biomechanics, like we are our ultimate technology already, like natural organic technology. So it's like, but we're not really tapping into it. And he talks about this other future where everyone's just built like Bo Jackson. And I was showing you some footage of that guy the other day, and he's a beast. Just the way that he moves and everything, and that's obtainable to people if you can kind of, if you got to do the work, and you got to find somebody who can help you get there. But it's just like, that's totally possible. I can also see this future where we're just totally integrated with nature, and we're taking better care of ourselves and the environment, and that is the technology. Like, we have this technology.
We do. It's there. It's been there for. It's well, and that's almost part of this whole shift. These two parallel sort of realities diverging. Is that. It's almost like they're trying to it is like they're trying to make us forget all these free technologies and ways of living that are actually the more healthier and more fulfilling and nourishing natural human ways of being.
Like remember when we would go and watch our friend Jessie like making a fire with a stick, right? Just that technology of just like making a fire, getting a stick, rubbing a stick on a piece of wood to get the little ember to come out, and then like to make the fire. Yeah. And just the experience of that, like it's not just this instantaneous like, I'm going to get my big lighter out and I'm going to light the fire, and it's just like, it's not easy. It's not easy, and just the appreciation that you have for that fire and how it was made, and that it's not just this simple thing. If we lost all that, if people were out and they didn't have anything, and we've just become so softened because of the environment that we're in,
got no chance.
We've got no chance. Yeah, like no, yeah. no chance of survival, and it's wild to think that that's where we've got to.
Yeah, it's like we're in survival.
So we're actually
not able to be in survival in the fulfilling way. Like, that's like being in real survival where you're out there surviving, you know how to survive. But right now we're kind of in survival, like helpless, like
vulnerable, like little children.
Yeah, like a baby, you're like.
But a sleeping baby, like no one knows people do know, more and more people realize what's going on, but. It's just the majority just wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I was just talking to a mate before this today, and he's like, "Oh man, I just like it's so hard to like, even just like right now, just find like if you don't have like a lot of friends that are kind of you can talk to about this stuff, it's quite isolating and feel pretty sketched out by it. And that's the whole thing too, because like we're such communal people, cultures. Like humans we are communal. We thrive in we definitely don't thrive in isolation, that's for sure. We thrive in collaboration and when we're all together and sharing and telling stories and sharing music and eating food and all these things. And you just see how detrimental it is when we are kind of locked up or segregated and separated and if you don't feel good about that, it's like that's it. It's like time to make like the lobster and change. You know, that's it. It's like that's what we're realizing more and more throughout this whole process of where we're heading. It's like, you know, each day you're kind of like, all right, well, this is it. You know, we're going to keep going and keep all the things that are human to you as first priority, like creativity, like curiosity, all these things. Like once you start losing these things, it's like, yeah, what do you have? You start to just become dependent on other things just to kind of fill these holes for you, like scrolling social media or watching movies you don't even really like get a kick out of or whatever, just because they're there. So it's an interesting time. It's not over yet. It's infinite.
How many times have we done this?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I guess like I hope that everybody can appreciate the lobster from a new level after this conversation today. Like we talk about it all the time. Like we're always introducing the lobster to people, and when you're going through something, you can kind of just think like, all right, what would the lobster be doing? You know,
hiding,
but preparing, growing, getting ready.
But yeah, we're pumped. We got our series 2 Loyal Lobster,
our spectacular emerald,
and we were
lobster.
So nervous trying to get it, and we really, you know, we thought we'd lost it for a moment, and we tried to make peace with that, but then we got it. We're very happy about that.
I'm so excited to see where that takes us and what happens from that. I just know that something's going to, like, it's not even and that's the thing, like with these artwork, like the NFTs, it's like people are like,
it's like the first investment we've made as a,
yeah,
isn't it? Like other than our business, but like
exorbitant amount of time into WordPlay, energy and emotional, so. Yeah, I think, but I do. It's like an investment. It is another investment. You're not buying you are buying the artwork. Like it's an artwork. It's just this little like lobster graphic for vector lobster. It's cool, but really, like we've spoken in the NFT episode, it's like it's so much more than that, and that's the real potential of these NFTs and integrating with technology in these ways, because. And you know, it's not just.
I think using technology can be useful in the right way, but it's like I don't want to become the technology. You know, I don't want to merge with the technology. I would like to use a technology.
It's a tool, yeah.
It's a tool, but I don't want to become it. You
don't want to be the tool.
No, I don't want to be a tool.
No. Exactly. So yes, I don't want to be a tool either. And that's the thing as well, as like these technologies, they're just technologies. They're agnostic. They're not good. They're not bad. They're tools. But a tool can be used for good, for evil, for all kinds of things. And it's really up to how we use them.
Well, yeah.
You know? And allow others to use them. You know. What is some? I saw this. Oh, I heard it somewhere. It's like you got to wonder who's the product when you're not paying for the app.
Who's the product?
Yeah, when you don't pay for the app, like the product is free. So who's the actual product there? And it's like, oh, you're the product. Exactly, because they're using you for the advertising.
Well,
but someone's making money on you using it rather than you paying to use something as a tool. So it's
well, yeah, there's also this thing, like I watched this, I saw this this capoeira fight the other day, and our mestre was showing us this video, and he wanted to get our opinion, and there was this fight going on, and it's just like this hoda's like a capoeira, like a fight, a circle, hoda is a circle, and there was this fight going on, and it's known for, this particular fight was known for being quite rough, you know, like you go there to fight. It's not like a play capoeira, it's like a proper fight capoeira. And something happened in the fight. It was, you know, and the guy picks up the bearing bow and starts, you know, hitting the other guy with the bearing bow, and it's just like this thing. It's like the bearing bow can be this beautiful instrument, you know, for playing music and holding space, but then it can also be a weapon.
Exactly. Perfect example.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, but I'd like to say too, I'd like to offer Gary, we might not be ready for you yet in terms of, you know, our podcasts or anything, but at some point when we are ready, or if you feel we are ready, or it'd be love to invite you to join us and talk to us a little bit about your V friends too, and what you're doing there, and connect on that level. And like we're super pumped to be part of the community.
Yeah, super pumped, and we'll be at VCon next year if the laws allow and all that sort of stuff. Who knows what's going to happen
We'll
next
find
year,
a way.
We will be there, and we're going to have FOMO. We're not going to be YOLOing. We're going to be FOMOing this time, but we're part of.
Can we watch it? Can we stream it or something, or is it all?
We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be shitloads of stuff across social media on Twitter and TikTok and all that. It's going to be banging. So we'll be there.
Let's keep rolling with the podcast and see if we can get it to a point where we can get Gary on here.
Yeah, well, that's it. And soon enough we'll have some guests. So we're warming up. We're warming some seats up.
Getting ready for ya.
We're warming some seats up. So
got to build a bigger shack.
Got to build a bigger shack, yes, and just keep going and using that's it, like using the social media. This is a social media, that's where you're going to find this on YouTube, Spotify, and our clips online. And we aren't going to just be, the whole point is to connect and interact and actually make something from it, not just like...
What, with the NFT?
No, just with the podcast, like with our platform. So, we're there. Like if anyone wants to reach out, like we're not just a profile,
Hey, we had one person on our Instagram live just before.
We're still live. Let's try to go live again. No. But we're really looking forward to meeting some people. We've been getting a few follows and a few likes, and we've been reaching out to those people. So stay tuned for more episodes. And stay tuned for more clips. You can find us on Instagram at Design on Purpose. You can find us on TikTok, Design on Purpose, TikToking. And also, Spotify's allowed us to put videos up on Spotify now, so you can actually stream the podcast with video on Spotify, not just YouTube. And you can find us on all the other podcast platforms too. So, is that it for today? I think so.
What was with the sign?
Oh, just,
It's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday. It's been a good podcast. Sigh of relief, It's good. So anyway, stay tuned and we'll be back next week with another episode of Design on Purpose.